It seems that everything we know about how this NHL draft could shake out should be thrown out the window because the rumors we've heard over the last 24 hours have been nuts. Linking the Montreal Canadiens to Ryan Leonard, Matvei Michkov potentially going somewhere else, big news as well on the Coyotes and Flyers pick, and much more. But what are the latest trade rumors? What will happen with the Montreal Canadiens' 5th overall pick? Who will they select? We'll watch till the end for all of the draft trade rumors, and hit that subscribe button if you're new for more draft coverage all year long. You won't want to miss it. Why do they always have to be so weird? Okay, let's talk about the Montreal Canadiens and their trade rumors for the 5th overall pick. It's been an absolute wild west out here talking about what the Habs might do with that 5th overall pick. We've gone through so many different options. But it seems like the consensus over the past couple of days and leading right up until the NHL draft is that the Habs pick will end up being Ryan Leonard, 5th overall. But now let's go on to the tweets at hand here talking about this situation, as well as more rumors surrounding the top 10 of the 2023 draft, which has just been an absolute circus so far. But from Anthony DeMarco, who, if you guys remember, ended up breaking the Ivan Provorov trade, he said this: "Based on conversations I've had this AM, there seems to be a sense that Montreal, as has been documented at length recently, has strong interest in Ryan Leonard, while Arizona are looking hard at David Reinbacher. If this is the case, Matvei Michkov will likely be available to Philadelphia at number 7. I was once again told this morning that Philadelphia is, providing the interview goes well, strongly considering Michkov if he's available at number 7. The 4 centers are expected to go 1 through 4. If Leonard and Reinbacher were to follow at 5 and 6, Michkov would slip to number 7. And that is some big news. And like Anthony mentions, over the past couple of days, we've seen a lot of chatter, a lot of interest, and a lot of really big reports talking about the Habs and their interest in Ryan Leonard and how much they would like to go for him if those 4 centers are already gone. And like Anthony DeMarco already points out, I think that will be the case. In my mock draft, I had the first 4 centers going in those top 4 picks. And I think for San Jose, they'd want to go after a player like a Carlsson or a Smith, a player that can help them now, especially if it's a Leo Carlsson. But I feel like those players will already be gone. Montreal won't have the chance at that top 4 center core, but Ryan Leonard would be especially interesting. If you can get him to play center, I don't think he's too far behind a player like Will Smith, in my opinion. But at number 5, it would certainly be a reach for a lot of people. But it seems like the Montreal Canadiens have a lot of interest with Ryan Leonard at number 5, and that could end up being their pick on draft day. And then for some more rumors on top of this from David Pagnotta, he says the Capitals have eyes on Michkov as well, which is also why they may try to leapfrog Philadelphia to snag him. Coyotes may be willing to work with them if right deal falls into place. And like we've heard as well, just like the Ryan Leonard rumors of the past couple of days, the Washington Capitals are trying to trade up in this draft. They're trying to trade up to get Matvei Michkov and kind of secure Matvei Michkov's position with him, because it seems like from what we heard with the Philadelphia Flyers as well and Daniel Briere yesterday, he was talking about how he's willing to wait for whatever prospect might happen, and patience is key for what they're building. That seems like a team to me that would want to take a player like Matvei Michkov, so it seems like the Washington Capitals are trying to go up to that 6th position to leapfrog Philadelphia, have basically an 100% chance of taking Michkov, which to me makes a lot of sense. If the Capitals have the assets to make it happen, I think they will make it happen. But again, going back to that Montreal pick, we'd heard so many rumors in the past. First, initially with Dvorsky and Reinbacher, and then, of course, the rumors about potentially them just going back and picking Matvei Michkov. But it seems like Ryan Leonard will end up being the pick. And unless San Jose surprises and picks a player like a Ryan Leonard instead, or a player like Matvei Michkov, which I don't see happening, I feel like they'll want to go for a player that can play very soon, like a player like a Leo Carlsson especially. But if they go for a surprise player, sure, the Montreal could absolutely take one of the other centers like a Will Smith, or heaven forbid a Leo Carlsson falls to number 5. But it seems like if everything goes to plan, if those 4 centers are off the list already, Ryan Leonard will be the Montreal Canadiens pick, which is wild to think about. Now, we need to talk about this because Ryan Leonard is an especially interesting pick and a player that's been rising in so many different ways over the last few months for very good reason. In my last rankings, in my final rankings for the 2023 draft, I had him as my 7th best prospect in the draft, but it seems like the Habs could be going up and selecting him all the way up at 5th overall. Now, Ryan Leonard, he's played both center and wing this year. He's had success more on the wing, but to me, he can play center. And if you do pick him, if you're the Habs, I think he he could turn out to be a second line center, maybe first line center guy alongside Cole Caulfield, but kind of in that Nick Suzuki territory where he will be a solid top 6 guy, but not a amazing elite number 1 center in my opinion. But Ryan Leonard, I mean, could certainly be a solid pick at number 5 if a lot of those tools develop right, which I think they will. He's 5'11", 181 pounds, but plays like he's 6'3", 210 in the right ways. He's physical, but knows how to use that smaller body too. It's not just like he's just throwing his body out or anything just for doing it. He knows how to hit, he knows how to be physical, he knows how to get in front of the net, and he knows how to bang pucks home. And you can see just all throughout the year just how good he's done in the NCDP. 94 points in 57 games there, and in the U18 World Juniors, got the goal, was sensational there, 17 points in 7 games, and that was the Ryan Leonard that I think we could see with the Montreal Canadiens. He's such an absolute dog, such an absolute horse out there, always putting in exemplary work and being a true leader as well. This is a player that, even though it would be an interesting pick at 5th overall, I could see why the Habs would do it. But I feel like for the Habs, it also is a concern, that position. I mean, he's had a lot of success on the right wing, and that's where most of his success this season has come from. Even though I do think he'd be a solid center and a versatile guy up the middle, especially driving the net, he's a player that along the boards would bring some great tenacity. Again, there's been a lot of comparisons to Matvei Michkov, but they aren't unwarranted. He's a really unique player in that aspect, and I think a player like Matvei Michkov having as much success as he's had has really propelled a player like Ryan Leonard to even higher draft stock. But he's of those shades of Matvei Michkov, where along the walls he can be an absolute madman and bring that speed and bring that tenacity. But I do still think he could be a solid centerman. But if the Habs were to get Pierre-Luc Dubois, for example, that would clear a lot of things. I mean, you could put Ryan Leonard on the right wing, maybe have a Caulfield, Dubois, Ryan Leonard line, which would be absolutely amazing, and it would bring a lot of different shades of everything. But if the Habs rely on him to be a top 6 center, there is a chance that he can't quite adapt that way, and that could be a concern for Montreal. But Ryan Leonard would easily become one of the best Habs transitional players and also one of the best play drivers too. And I think for Montreal, that is a big aspect of things. He's a guy that can generate a lot of opportunities, generate a lot of chances himself, and that individuality is something that goes for him, not against him. And to me, he plays the game in a lot of the right ways, physically along the boards and in front of the net, always knows where to be, and that silky skill of his shot and the way he's able to deceive players is just awesome to watch. He's a player that brings a lot of versatility to the game and a lot of different ways you could play him. And I think for especially a coach like Barlow Louis, he would love to have a player like Ryan Leonard on his team. Even though the size might not be elite, the way he plays is elite, and he uses his size perfectly. And I think for Montreal, even though he wouldn't be my pick at number 5, I would take a player like Michkov instead. I feel like Ryan Leonard is a player you could get behind and really love, and especially could be a major leader on the team going forward. But that's just the thing, man. When you take him 5th overall, you're taking him instead of Matvei Michkov. You're taking him instead of other players like David Reinbacher and Dalibor Dvorsky, and there's always a risk there. But especially taking him above Matvei Michkov is a big risk. If Michkov does unlock that talent, does unlock that full potential, then to me, he'd be far better than Ryan Leonard in a lot of different ways and can bring that maximum offensive value that Montreal, I think, could really quite use. But that's the thing, is that Ryan Leonard also fills a lot of boxes that Montreal doesn't have. They don't have a lot of great physical prowess on the team. Slafkovsky is big, but Ryan Leonard plays big, and that's a big difference. He knows how to take hits, he knows how to give them, he knows how to play along the walls, and he knows how to get around pressure, and that's the type of play that I don't think Montreal has a lot of that they could really desperately use, at least on the top end of the lineup. And to me, Ryan Leonard also backs it off with great skill, great drive, and to me, that energy is something that Montreal will really quite love. Do I see him becoming a pure Matvei Michkov where he's scoring 100-plus point seasons? Probably not, but I could see a very solid physical, maybe point per game player at his peak, and to me, Ryan Leonard could be a great pick there if that does happen at 5th overall. But again, rejecting Matvei Michkov and the potential there, it's quite juicy. Also, some more interesting notes as well from this thread that we talked about earlier from Eddie and Rono. Arizona also has a high interest in Dalibor Dvorsky, and Anthony says, you're absolutely right. But again, just thinking about everything and how this might shake out, From the current information, from what we've seen recently, it seems like it will end up being, of course, Connor Bedard to Chicago, Fantilli to Anaheim, Carlsson to Columbus, Will Smith to the San Jose Sharks. The Habs will end up selecting Ryan Leonard 5th overall. The Coyotes, we could see a trade with the Washington Capitals. If that doesn't end up happening, then Matvei Michkov will go to the Caps 6th overall. Then at 7th overall, Philadelphia, I think would take still a player like Zach Benson personally. And then at 8th overall, it looks like it could be Reinbacher and or Dalibor Dvorsky there, which makes a lot of sense. Arizona, if they're going for those two players, I think would be in a great spot to trade down, especially to the 8th overall pick, where it's not too big of a drop, and still you would most likely have your big time players there. Even though there might be the slight chance that Philly takes a Reinbacher, potentially, I don't really see it personally. There could still be Dalibor Dvorsky on the board, and Arizona would still have interest in him. So that looks to be what the top 8 will be at the 2023 draft. And of course, there's still so much to go, still a lot of time left, but that's what we're looking at right now, which if you said that to me a few months ago, I would have died. I would have passed away. But it looks like that'll be what happens at the 2023 draft. A wild top 8. The Caps moving up, that would be insane. I just gotta say though, for the Habs, if it is Michkov with the very next pick at 6th overall, I just gotta say, I mean, the Washington Capitals know how to develop Russian prospects. They know how to work with Russian prospects. So to me, I think Montreal is in a position where Leonard would be great. I think Michkov would be fantastic, but it seems like they're going over more of the tenacity, more of the leadership, more of that overall role that Leonard brings, which I can see why they would go after that. Even though I think they really would need a premier offensive player like Michkov, I think they could still survive with a player like Leonard, especially if they are able to add more forwards like Pierre-Luc Dubois onto the top end of that lineup. But if it is Michkov with the very next pick, 6th overall, then that is just unfortunate, because I think Washington would absolutely make that pick look a little bit silly just with how well they develop Russians, how good they put them in positions to succeed. And to me, I think Michkov would be beautiful in Washington. I think he would absolutely prosper, and I think he would be brilliant and really be a main catalyst on that team for a long time. And having that in the same conference will be a pretty brutal reminder every once in a while for the Montreal Canadiens. We'll see what happens. I think Michkov would still be my pick, but I mean, I had them mocking. In my last mock, I had them picking Dalibor Dvorsky last time, so Ryan Leonard is a much better bet in my opinion. But I also want this circus to end. I mean, we have been talking about this pick for so long. Can we just have the pick already? Please. But that'll be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for more draft updates, more trade rumor content just like this all year round. You will not want to miss it, especially over the next week as we make a ton of draft videos, as well as stream the NHL draft day 1. We will see you guys there. We'll see you in the Montreal Canadiens end up picking, but we hope to see you there for that extravaganza. Of course, make sure you comment down below. What do you guys think of this 5th overall pick for the Habs? Are you okay with them selecting Ryan Leonard and passing up on Matvei Michkov? Who do you actually predict they'll end up selecting in the end? What do you think happens with the rest of the top 8? Who do you think gets selected where? Do the Caps move up in the draft? Let us know down below. Of course, make sure you share the video with all the hockey fans, especially Habs fans you guys know online. Get the updates to them right now, folks. And I want to see you guys click on this card right here for all my 2023 draft content Round 1 playlist. If you guys missed anything, great playlist to binge. I must say so myself. I will see you guys there. Have a fantastic day. Drink some water. Take some deep breaths. I love you. And you are special to me, y'all. Thank you so much for watching today and supporting all the draft content. It means so much every single time. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.